What's up everybody, and welcome back to the Cyclonic Thrift channel. Today we're looking at yet another fun new commander from the Modern Horizons 3 set, but this time we're looking at it in the context of a deck building video, not so much of a deck tech. Every so often I like to take a commander, either one that I own or one that just came out, and try to see if I can build a deck for it from just cards that I already own, right? So I'm not going to TCG Player, I'm not going to Card Kingdom, I'm not buying sealed packs, I'm not buying singles, just the cards that I already own, not spending any extra money, seeing if I can build a deck from it, and that's what we're bringing to you today. So the commander we're looking at is a bit of a doozy. It's a Nadu, Winged Wisdom, 1 a green and a blue for a 3/4 legendary creature bird wizard. It's got flying and has this ability, so it gives creatures we control. Whenever this creature becomes the target of a spell or ability, reveal the top card of your library. If it's a land card, put it on the battlefield, otherwise put it into your hand, and this ability triggers only twice each turn. So it's important to note that that last line there, triggers twice each turn, applies to each individual creature that you own. So each creature it will trigger twice for each turn. Yeah, this thing is insane. It's ramp or card draw whenever one of your creatures becomes targeted by something you control or by your opponents. Yeah, there's a lot of different ways you can take this deck. Any of them are going to be excellent just because this ability is so incredibly busted. But I want to do it, a little bit unique way. So I went with Simic equipment, Simic artifacts. And specifically equipment with very low equip costs. So I can't quite remember. I don't believe I had any equipment that costs 0 in this deck. But anytime that you equip something to a creature, that's considered an ability. So it's going to trigger the ability that our commander is giving our creatures. And it's something we can easily control. And as long as we get something down that equips for very, very little, we're going to be able to rally off a ton of triggers off of this, get a bunch of lands on the battlefield, or get a bunch of cards into our hand, and we'll go from there. So to start, got some cards that are, going to help with that artifact synergy, that equip cost. So Ethereum Sculptor, 1 and a blue for artifact creature, Vidalcan Artificer. Artifact spells you cast cost 1 less to cast. It's going to help us get our artifacts down, our equipments down quickly, so that we can then utilize them for our purposes. And then you've got Vol, Candlekeep Researcher, 3 and a blue for a 2/3 legendary creature human wizard. Has vigilance, and then you add amount of colorless equal to Vol Candlekeeper Researcher's toughness, and this mana can't be spent to cast spells from your hand. That's totally fine. We're going to use it for equipment spells, and equipping them to our creatures, because tap this for 3 mana. That gives you, if you've got an equipment that equips for 1, that gives you 3 activations and 3 triggers off of the ability Nadu's giving to our creatures. So this guy will be super nice, and if we can happen to equip an equipment to it, boost its toughness up a little bit, we'll be able to tap it for even more. Next are some of those equipments that we'll be using. So the first is Dream Thief's Bandana, 2 mana for artifact equipment from the new Outlaws of Thunder Junction set. Whenever this equipped creature deals combat damage to a player, you look at the top card of their library and then exile it face down. For as long as it remains exiled, you may play it, and mana of any type can be spent to cast that spell, and then it has equip 1. So the ability itself is really nice. It's kind of a stealing sort of thing, but it's doubly nice that it's a low mana artifact. You get it down early, and the equip cost is 1, so you'll be able to activate this a few times on your turn, get a couple activations from your own library, and keep your train rolling. Next is Brass Knuckles, 4 mana for an artifact equipment. When you cast this spell, copy it. Equipped creature has double strike as long as 2 or more equipment are attached to it, and it has equip 1. So very similar deal, a little bit more expensive, but you're getting 2 for the price of 1, so each one really does kind of cost 2 mana. You get this down, it's got a very nice equipment related bonus to it, where it's giving creatures double strike if you've got 2 or more equipments, and then the equip 1 is exactly where we want to see, super cheap so we can bounce it around. Next card is Curiosity. 1 blue for an enchantment aura. You enchant a creature, and whenever it deals damage to an opponent, you draw a card. So enchantment auras are also considered the spells that target a creature, so it's going to activate our commander's ability that's been put onto the creature. The auras, I didn't try to include as many into this deck because it's not really a repeatable source, because you kind of put it on a creature and then it's stuck there. But there were a few that I thought were low to the ground enough and impactful enough that would be nice. We're going to have a lot of creatures that can get through for damage because we're equipping them with a bunch of random stuff. So this is just going to get us some extra card draw. Next is Tezzeret, Betrayer of Flesh. 2 and 2 blue for a legendary planeswalker. Comes in with 4 loyalty and has a few different abilities. So the passive one is the first activated ability of an artifact you activate each turn costs 2 less to activate. Your +1 is draw 2 cards, then discard 2 cards unless you discard an artifact card. -2 is target artifact becomes an artifact creature. If it isn't a vehicle, it has base power and toughness 4/4. Then has a -6. You get an emblem with whenever an artifact you control becomes tapped, you draw a card. So nice for a few reasons. You get some card draw there at the beginning. But honestly, the passive ability itself, reducing the activated ability cost of our artifacts for the first time, is really nice, because it's essentially going to give us a free equipping during each of our turns. So yeah, just being able to cut down on mana that way is going to be really nice. Next couple cards are other ways that we're going to target our creatures. Primal Might, X and a green for a sorcery. Target creature you control gets +X/+X until end of turn, and it fights up to 1 target creature you don't control. So it's targeting one of our creatures, so it'll activate that ability. It's a pretty classic pump spell. It'll be nice to use as removal for one of our opponent's creatures. Gets it super big, so if we're able to get it in for combat damage, it'll be impactful there. We've got Monstrous Onslaught, 3 and 2 green for a sorcery. Monstrous Onslaught deals X damage divided as you choose among any number of target creatures, where X is the greatest power among creatures you control as you cast this spell. So you can use this on your opponent's creatures for sure. It's a way to remove 1, 2, or even 3 creatures, depending on how powerful your most powerful creature is. But where this really shines is if you target each of your creatures with 1 damage, right? If you've got a creature with power 5 and you have 5 creatures on the field, you target each of them with 1 damage, you get 5 activations off of the ability your commander gives them, and you're going to get a lot of card advantage off of this card. So it's very versatile that way. You can use it to attack against your opponents, or you can use it to kind of speed up your own process as well. Next cards are some creature-based, repeatable effects, abilities that we're able to target our own creatures with. First is Elvish Herder. It's 1 green for a 1/1 elf. You pay a green, and target creature gains trample until end of turn. And this is super nice because you can repeatedly do this to all of your creatures. As long as you've got green mana to use, you're going to be able to activate the abilities that our commander is giving it over and over again. You can give a creature trample twice in a turn. Doesn't really change anything about the trample, but it'll get those activations off. The next is Endbringer, 5 and a colorless for a 5/5 creature Eldrazi. You untap Endbringer during each other player's untap step, and then it has 3 tapping abilities. So you tap to deal 1 damage to any target. Surprise, surprise, it's most likely going to be one of your creatures. Colorless mana and tap it. Target creature can't attack or block this turn. And then 2 colorless to tap and draw a card. So the real thing here is you're going to want to tap it to deal damage to your own creatures. Again, activate those abilities. The nice thing about this is you're untapping Endbringer during each player's untap step. So in the course of a turn rotation, you're going to get 4 activations off of this. And by the time it gets back to you, you're going to either have a lot more mana on the board or a lot more cards in your hand. And this is going to be a really powerful engine piece for your deck. That brings us to the thrift pick of the deck. For this one, it's pretty straightforward. I wanted to do a thrift pick that was a little bit different, a little bit outside the strategy that we're trying to go for the overall deck. And because we're going to have so many equipments, so many artifacts on the battlefield, I want to do something with that that would be kind of a finisher piece, you know, because with Simic and this type of ability, it's a lot of churning, right? It's a lot of spinning our wheels. We're getting lands on the battlefield, we're getting cards in our hand, but we want to find ways to actually win the game, to finish the game when we get to that place. So this card does that really well. It's Cyberdrive Awakener, 5 and a blue for a 4/4 artifact creature construct. Has flying, and other artifact creatures you control have flying. And when it enters the battlefield, until end of turn, each non-creature artifact you control becomes an artifact creature with base power and toughness 4/4. So essentially what this means is that when we play this, all of our equipments, any other artifacts that we have, become 4/4 flyers, and we get to swing in with however much damage we want. This is absolutely a way to end the game. If you play it in the right spot, your opponents are going to have nothing to be able to do, and you'll be able to knock people out pretty quickly, or at least get them down to a life total that's manageable. And that brings us to the end of the video. Hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, please like the video, comment down below. Let me know if there's any cards that you would include into your Nadu deck. I know there's a million different ways you can take this commander, so if there's other strategies that you guys have been thinking of, let us know. If you're not already, please subscribe to the channel, and until next time, stay safe and stay thrifty.